Testing. Good?
Hold on one second. I'm just trying to reach somebody.
Okay.
Okay, down.
Test. Test 1, 2.
Hold on. That other mic.
Uh-huh.
No, that's not going. Never mind.
Yeah.
You good? Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Testing.
Tell them to set up. Set up. Friday morning meeting.
Test. Testing. Testing.
She's talking.
Mic check. Testing. 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 Can you hear me?
Dude, listen. Okay. Tell whoever, listen. Tell Caitlin or Taylor that they're getting come out. I don't know why. Something happened.
Say again. Okay.
Now I can go to You guys mind if I do it?
You guys ready? Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Rain comes back. Before the rain comes back, giving us a window. Dang it. How are you, sir?
Just for the Facebook Live people, just letting everybody know, nice and loud. Okay, our microphones are back here. Okay. On their cameras.
All right, so I've got a mic.
Those are the TV folks.
Well, this one's mine.
Oh, okay. Okay. I know.
Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Facebook Live ready? All right, Chief Berryhill.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, Kyle Berryhill, Fire Chief, City of Palm Coast. We're here today because the Indian Trails section of the City of Palm Coast experienced a potential tornado this morning at about 4:45, and we've got several structures with significant damage, several vehicles with significant damage, where we have damage assessment teams out currently assessing the damage in our community. But luckily, as of right now, we've experienced no injuries from this event, which is really a blessing for our community. We responded with Flagler County Sheriff's Office deputies, the Palm Coast Fire Department, and Flagler County Fire Rescue, as well as crews from FP&L and Spectrum. City Utility and Public Works workers have been out helping to make sure we get roads clear, kids to school, all the kind of things that a community needs. But we have several families that have experienced a catastrophic property loss, and our hearts go out to them this morning. Something that Emergency Manager Jonathan Lord will talk a little bit about is we've established an assistance center with our partnership with Parkview Church on Belterre Boulevard, where Flagler County EM staff are available, as well as church staff, to help residents who cannot continue to shelter in their normal home. So that's a place where citizens can reach out for assistance today. As we move forward, we still have fire staff, sheriff's deputies, city utility workers. We have National Weather Service, Florida Department of Emergency Management, Flagler County Emergency Management staff helping to assess the damage and help us with our next steps so our community can make sure that everyone's safe and then we can begin to recover. Something that we ask our residents is, we have first responders in that neighborhood. If you don't live there, that's really not a place for you this morning. So we would ask you not to just drive around and take a look at the damage. We've got a great media coverage here that'll be showing us how your neighbors were impacted. But our residents want to see because they want to help. They want to be good neighbors. That's kind of how our city is. So we ask, if you know someone, you know a neighbor that needs assistance, please go ahead and reach out to them at this time, and be prepared. Also, you can reach out to all our local charity organizations who are ready and available to help today. But luckily for us, our community, the most important thing is the lives of our citizens. Those lives seem to be in good shape, no injuries today, no injuries from firefighters, no injuries from deputies or our volunteers or our public works or utility crews. So we're very happy about that. We're going to continue to work to help our residents who have experienced, catastrophic loss to their property, get the ship righted, but we know that there's a lot of ways we protect ourselves in that way, and that's definitely secondary to life safety issues. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Flagler County Emergency Manager Jonathan Lord. But if you need to follow us on anything, you can follow the Sheriff's Office, the City of Palm Coast Fire Department, or Flagler County Emergency Management, and any of our social channels, Facebook, X, I guess is what we call it now. I'm not sure. I think Instagram too. I'm looking to our PIO for some of the ways. And then all of our customer service portals are ways that you can tell us that you need assistance today. Palm Coast Connect, or just reaching out through our customer service line. And we'll take that call and try to make sure that we're able to do that. We definitely had several homes suffer major structural damage. We had streets blocked. We have power out and power lines down in this community. But this is a resilient community and a resilient neighborhood, and we'll be back up on our feet before long. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Again, I'm Jonathan Lord, Flagler County's Emergency Management Director. So it was about 4:45 this morning, we think, when a potential tornado did touch down in the Indian Trails neighborhood. And there were response crews, as the Chief mentioned, from the fire department and the Sheriff's Office there, almost instantaneously taking care of life safety issues right away. We are, like you said, we are aware of a couple of homes, or a few homes, that do have some significant damage. Our Family Assistance Center is open at the Parkview Baptist Church, and they've already assisted one family. We know another family that already relocated on their own. They couldn't stay in their home with support from their insurance. And there are teams from the City of Palm Coast going door to door right now in that general neighborhood, just to give us a more specific overview of the damage in that neighborhood, house by house. As we speak, we actually have one of our staff, along with the National Weather Service, that's in the neighborhood too, assessing. You hear us keep saying potential tornado. We can't officially make it a call as a tornado until the Weather Service conducts their assessment. They are in the area already with our team, driving those neighborhoods, and they're pretty sure they're going to call it tornado, but we can't really say that until they officially make the call and finish their drive around. But it seems pretty evident. We believe this storm cell that created this probably started out in the western side of the county, near County Road 302, 75, as well as State Road 100. We do have a bunch of trees down in that general vicinity. Luckily, no other property damage out there. It looks like it may have lifted back up again, and then obviously came back down in this Indian Trails neighborhood. So I mean, our thoughts and our prayers are with the families and neighbors that were impacted. If they are watching this or listening to this or seeing this on social media, again, if you do need help, we will have the Assistance Center up and running at least until noon today. And afterwards, you can give us a call at the Emergency Operations Center at 386-313-4200 during normal business hours, and we can link you up with other agencies and organizations that can provide assistance if you do need that. But if you have insurance, can take care of that, then please go ahead, call your insurance and make your own arrangements. But we are here, our entire community is here. All of the folks that you see standing up here and all of our partners are all here to make sure our community is taken care of. And actually, I was going to let the sheriff go next. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. For those that remember the Starlight tornado that came through generally in the same area a few years ago, this does not appear to be as significant as that event was. I just finished looking at the area myself, and like the emergency management and fire chief mentioned, there are some significant structural damages, but most of the damage is trees, fences down, some of the drainage canals flooding, and so forth. For the community, I want to commend the first responders that started responding. It was still dark out, checking on the homes and the people in there to make sure everybody was okay. and fortunately we've had no reported injuries. We have had a couple car crashes as a result of the weather, but not as a result of the wind event. So I would remind people that, you know, the roads are wet and they're dangerous, so just be careful if you have to leave your home. For anyone that thinks they can come and prey on the victims of this event, know that I have vacancies at the jail, and that's where you will end up. So don't even try to come to this area and prey on people that have been victimized by a weather event, because we will arrest you. We've had none of those issues so far. We want to keep it that way. We do have some what we call soft road closures, primarily on Baltimore and Behringer. And we're not stopping everyone, but if you don't need to be there, we would prefer that you not go to those areas. If you want to see what it looks like, you can go to the Sheriff's Office Facebook, the City of Palm Coast, and we have other areas that you can look that we're posting on social media if you're curious, or if the media needs those photos. So again, we were really very fortunate. I'm sure that the homes that were struck the worst don't feel that way, but when you look at what could have occurred and what has occurred in other communities and even this community in the past, we were really very blessed and fortunate that it was not more severe. The Sheriff's Office role from this point forward is really the protection of property and life safety, and supporting the emergency management, the fire department, and the City of Palm Coast work crews as things are cleaned up. And so with that, I guess we'll answer any questions.
What is the most immediate danger to all the residents in that area?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
What
that.
is the most immediate danger? The power lines, structure, what is it?
Well, in certain homes, it's structure of those homes, but mostly when you have events like this, you have trees go down, you have power lines go down. FPL's teams are here trying to restore power. So usually what happens is most of the injuries that occur after a tornado, hurricane, those kind of events occur after the storm. Trees continuing to fall, people are out there cutting down trees and they fall on themselves, they step on nails, and there's always a potential for live wires, although I think FPL is cutting the power for those areas. So
you guys talk about catastrophic damage to homes. What's the most serious that you've seen? We saw a lot of shingled up and stuff, but what's the most serious damage?
We definitely have at least one house that has lost its entire roof. And so we have several houses that have lost significant parts of the roof, so that, you know, the wiring associated with the house is exposed. There's active damage, and you know, FPL worked with, you know, we helped some of those families to find a shelter today, because it's going to be a minute before that house is a livable home. But we haven't had any structural collapse that I'm aware of. You know, when we're talking about our most significant things, definitely staying away from power lines. All power lines are considered live, so don't consider yourself an expert on whether it's a power line or a cable line. Consider all lines that are down to be live power lines for safety. Additionally, as we get into this situation and you're without power for a little bit, you know, a lot of our families are incredibly self-sufficient and resilient, and so they have home generators. Something that we sometimes see after these events is people positioning those generators in a way that carbon monoxide poisoning becomes an issue. Making sure that your generator is away from your house and is exhausting, so that it's not going into places where people are living and contained and breathing, you know, that's an important thing as well. And you know, unlike a hurricane where there's a massive area that has destruction, and we still have acute pockets of significant destruction, but we have massive areas with loss of power or excessive rainfall or trees down and diminished transportation capabilities. A tornado is much more acute, or potential tornado, I guess, is much more acute. So residents that live very close to these residents are like, oh, that happened? But that means stay out, be good to the people you care about, and even the ones you don't, that live in those areas, and make sure that you're treating those, you know, if you can open a door to a family member, that's a great kind of thing to do right now, or a friend, so that they don't have to run a generator and potentially put those kind of situations as we kind of figure out what our next steps are going to be from now.
And let me just add that if you go and you'll see pictures of this, to indicate the type of force that was here besides ripping off roofs, you can see a truss that is embedded in the ground. So that came from a house, and this event embedded in the ground. And let me just mention the west side of our county, because that's a lot of modular homes, ranches and farms out there. While it doesn't appear that there was any significant touchdown, trees were down, some land is completely flooded out there. Most of the drainage canals are flooded. So while they don't have destructive stuff other than trees, there is a lot of flooding and making roads impassable on the west side of the county.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the damage is definitely contained between Belterre Parkway, Belterre Boulevard, South 100, Belterre Parkway, and I-95. And it's contained even tighter to a specific area, but there is some evidence, like we definitely have an overturned vehicle that's a little bit outside of this footprint of the neighborhood that kind of touches all these streets. We have fire police crews right now stationed at essentially everything that leads into this neighborhood off of Belterre, which is one of the main arteries in our community, and we're asking residents not to go in there, and that's where the vast majority of the damage is. But there is a little bit that's stretched outside, but everything's been contained between I-95 and Belterre.
We saw someone actually holding a power line. Can we please tell folks how bad that could be for them? We were just driving.
Yeah, that could be fatal. That could be fatal.
I would tell that individual, go play the lottery, because they just won it by not killing themselves.
He literally picked it up and was holding it. So I mean, to tell the community, if they see that type of damage, not to go near that.
Call FPL, call a first responder, call our communications center, but don't touch it.
We don't yet. We have damage assessment teams in the area. We ought to have a really good, they've been out there since about 8:30, and so we ought to have a much better number for that later on throughout the day. Our PI, our communications director, will have that information for you guys as you go. Please make sure you get her information so that we can make sure to keep you updated. And we thank you very much for being out here today, for getting this information out to our community. You guys are a part of the first response too, to help our community be safe, to get the information to them so that they don't have to go and try to put their own eyes on it. So we appreciate your response as well.
Do you have a number of homes that are without power, and is anything affected, like schools or churches or whatever, in that general area?
Yeah, we definitely did not there's not a general area that's without power. It's very specific. FP&L is in the neighborhood right now, and so they've targeted, so they'll turn everything off until they get it safe, and then they'll start turning things on and making sure, following their process. But we don't have a general area that's without power. And schools, churches, there's a new hospital that's very close to this area. All of those areas have power, including this park that we're in right now.
And as far as that timeline, because you said it looked like the western side, is that 1 in the morning when we're back up? Because even that car in the year we were saying that was like 4:30 to 5:30 in the morning. What timeline?
Well, we definitely had a couple of instances of severe weather this morning, but the event that we feel like had this most significant damage, where we believe there was a tornado touchdown, National Weather Service is going to tell us for sure, was at 4:45.
So at 4:26 this morning, Flagler alert put out severe weather. So that's when it was really identified, primarily on the west side, and then ultimately ended up in the city of Palm Coast. Okay, thank you.